So welcome to Notable Minds. I am Haley Carpenter, and this is the first episode where, as the name suggests, we have notable minds and we have discussions around cultural topics related to the optimization industry. So our first guest is Jessica James. I'm so excited to have her, and she was lovely enough to volunteer her time today. So Jessica, do you want to speak a little bit about yourself and your role and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, my love for optimization started like 2 years ago when I started my first role. Well, my second role at Entain, but my first role in the CRO space. And I was lucky enough to meet some really amazing colleagues that kind of paved the way for me to follow the right way, because there are many ways to do optimization wrongly. So that was kind of one of the best things. But yeah, so I'm the conversion manager for Entain, and I've tried to be a super data-driven manager and get everybody to focus on the problem rather than on the solution. That's kind of my focus and what I love, fixing customer journeys and their pain points.
Oh, I love it so much, especially the focus on the problem more than the solution, and just following what interested you and meeting the right people along the way. It's a good story. Well, I know that we've chatted a little bit via email before this, and your answers fascinated me. And specifically, you mentioned that you were moving your team from a centralized structure to a decentralized structure, and that has been one of your biggest challenges this year. And usually we find that teams are trying to do the opposite of that, where they're trying to go the other way towards centralized structures. And generally, I think as an agency, that's what we probably push the most. So can you speak a little bit to what prompted this decision and maybe a little bit about what a decentralized structure looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to empower the different teams across the business to have their own roadmaps, to think independently about their own customer pain points, where we should be focusing on and things. And we work in a very complex industry, so it makes absolute sense for us to have teams that are thinking independently rather than having a central team that just drives their own roadmaps. So we still validate, we still look at data, we still help them, and we are supporting them along the way. It's changing from centralized to decentralized will take a couple of years. But yeah, our main focus is that having one key person in each of the teams that is fully trained on CRO, they know how to follow the right way, to focus on the problem, to look at data, to look at the right data, to not torture the data, because that happens, these kind of things, and to prioritize what tests they should be running rather than just running ad hoc bits and pieces, or having a very one person in the team says, yes, this is right, yes, this is wrong. No, we want, actually the right process for prioritization, which is the key for good tests in the end.
Oh, that's makes perfect sense. I think the key piece that I was looking for was that one person in each team that is trained and knows the processes and doesn't torture the data, like you said, and knows what they're doing. So it's almost like a centralized team structure in a way, but then you've just kind of split up the army, so to speak, among the decentralized structure so that everything can maintain its integrity and that everyone is still on the same page. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a hybrid model,
Yeah.
of centralization, where you have those key players across all the teams, and they all come back to us like every week, and they tell us what's happening, what's their updates, and we can always support them. So we really want to have that strong test and learn mentality across.
Oh, kudos. Yes. I have not ran across a team set up like this actually, because they're working on so many other pieces, and I don't think that a lot of teams have the capability or the resources, at least yet, to do something like this. So this is just so interesting. So how did you train up the team, or your soldiers, so to speak, of the centralization piece to go out, or did you hire them in with that expertise?
Well, we hired in some and then we trained some others, but we didn't. Yeah, we tried to do it both ways and see what works and learn from that process, because absolutely, like when I started, the team was also very new in the company and all this kind of thing. So we did have to start from scratch, and we also test and learn at work, and we see what works. So the people that we hire externally support us, and then they also help the internal people that are already in the teams to grow and to learn from what is the right way to do things and to reinforce that. So that's really a key thing for us to have. It's not, not one way fits all. It's having that strength in numbers and also in experiences.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And did you have any pushback on your decision, or was it immediate buy-in, or did you have to work it all to get that buy-in?
Yeah, I mean, we had to work, we had to build a business case, we had to, make the stakeholders understand why we were trying to make this decision, how it was going to drive that optimization mindset across the business, and it wasn't just going to be up to us to tell them and to go to other teams and ask them, okay, what's happening, what are you looking at, which data points are you looking at, and things like that. And that would open our remit other things as well, rather than all the little things that needed to be picked out. We could focus on the bigger picture, and they could focus on the smaller wins to start their own maps, because it's always nice when you start an optimization to pick those quick wins and then start slow and slow, and that builds your confidence in the process. And after, you're like, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing now. I know what's right. I know how to find some winners and what to do when it's a losing test. Still get the learnings, because always focus on getting those learnings in before announcing any winners. What are we learning from this test? So that's key for us.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you think there are any industries or businesses that the hybrid model or the decentralized model wouldn't really work well for, off the top of your head?
Well, I think startups and small companies, it's complete, like the budget has to be really big for it to work, and you have to have that remit, the capabilities across the team and the time as well. So it definitely, for smaller companies, I don't think it would work. I think centralized is much better, but it really depends. Maybe even in the hospitality industry where I used to work, it's much better to have that one team that focuses on it, or even in e-commerce, not many cooks in the kitchen, because if it's an e-commerce site and you have people focusing on email signups and then purchases and then this, and and you don't have one team that is doing all, then maybe there's clashing of tests and things like that. Obviously we completely avoid having that, so definitely want to follow.
That makes sense. Well, I think my last question that comes to mind on this topic is around learnings and sharing knowledge. Is that done more in a weekly meeting with all of the kind of the champions from each team, or is that done in a different way?
Yeah, so we do weekly meetings with the key players across the teams. However, once a month we do like a big roundup of the tests, the learnings, and shouting that out across the business, so everybody can have visibility across the board and learn from each other, because that's how everybody will progress and optimize in the best way. So yeah.
Love it. Oh, so cool. Okay. Well, we'll stop grilling you on that topic and we can move to the next one around you mentioning that as the anticipation starts to build for the delivery of something, the team can start to switch focus from the problems over to the solutions. And this has actually been a really hot topic in our agency recently around, we need to shift back focus more to the problems and away from the solutions. Because as you've mentioned to me that, and I think it's well known, but maybe sometimes hard to actually implement or achieve in real life, is that good experimentation culture is really on focusing a lot on learning and understanding of issues and of customers and their journeys before proposing solutions and not jumping to those too quickly. So as that starts to happen, as you start to see that unfold, how do you put a halt to that or slow things down, so to speak?
Yeah, so we always ask why like 3 times, just so that we know that they really look thoroughly at the data of why you're running this test, but why are you doing it like this, and why is this the best solution, kind of thing. So asking why 3 times has been the best way for us. It's simple, it cuts through anything else, and it's just like, tell me as much information as possible as to why this is the best solution. And if you find gaps in their answers, and clearly they haven't researched the problem enough to have the clear information for the solution, even though the solution might be really exciting and and they might have taken it from a competitor or something like that, we need to drill back to make sure that their focus is on the problem and that they are completely understanding what the customers are doing, and that they have this problem and how they will benefit from the solution, rather than just having an exciting solution, which I think people can get carried away on the excitement of optimizing fun things, and not, sometimes it might be a boring fix, but it might bring lots of good results for us. So yeah.
Oh, what a good takeaway. Ask why 3 times. Seems easy enough to me.
I mean, there might be a better way for sure, but I think that cuts through everything, and it's the easiest thing. Give us 3 good reasons why.
Oh, yeah, that seems straightforward. Well, I think that's all of my questions for today. So thanks so much, Jessica, for joining me on my first show. And yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.